Hey everybody, it's Steve with another episode of Keep 'em Rollin', and this is a recent pickup video. As you can tell, I am not in my normal environment. I'm actually on vacation right now in sunny Florida visiting my parents. Of course, when you watch this video, I will be back home in the cold and frigid state of Michigan, but that's how it is with vacations. So now, as I said, this is a recent find video. While I'm down here, I always make a point to go with my dad to the local flea market and flea markets. There's a couple that are about 40 minutes from their home. And, the flea markets, they never disappoint. It still amazes me, though, the amount of stuff being sold and the lack of militaria. I mean, it's just kind of, I never have understood that. But with a little digging, I was able to pull some cool things out, and I want to share them all with you now. But for this video, what I'm going to ask is if you want to comment, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the video and I'm going to go from the least expensive item to the most expensive item. And feel free to comment on if you think I got a good deal, if you think I overpaid, if you don't think I should have bought the item. I just look forward to your opinions on this, kind of add another layer to the whole collecting thing. On top of that, if you do decide to comment, all I ask is just keep it friendly. Just because I want to, it's a family channel. I don't want to run into issues with YouTube or, so forth and so on. So on that note, let's jump into my recent pickups, which I got, yesterday. Yesterday. Vacation does that to you. You lose all track of time. So, all right, on with the recent pickups. One thing I forgot to add before we go into the recent finds is Happy New Year, everybody. It's now 2023. I hope that you all had a fantastic new year. And I hope that 2023 brings some amazing militaria into your collection. So forgot to put that in there, so I thought I'd just do a quick blurb and splice it on into the introduction. So, all right, now we can get on with the recent finds. Okay, everybody, starting with the first item that I picked up, the cheapest item, if you will. It's this strap right here. And this strap was on a 50-cent table. Now, the interesting thing is I have not yet figured out what this strap goes to. You can see it's got a little bit of staining. You can see there's a little bit of a tear in the strap. But the nice thing is it is clearly dated and marked. Let's see if we can find that. There it is. Stamp US, Yale, 1942. The thing is, once again, I just don't know what this strap went to. At first, I thought it was a musette bag strap, but it's not. So, if anybody has any suggestions, I am not home right now. I'm obviously on vacation. When you see this, I will be at home, but I don't have all my reference material with me to do some looking up. So if anybody, knows what this is, feel free to add that in the comments down below. So 50 cents for that. You can't pass up something like that dated 42 for 50 cents. And what I also find interesting about these things is you might not know what it is right away, but it's amazing how you put one of these in a parts box and later on you come across a pack or a bag that this belongs to, and then lo and behold, it's missing the strap and you have one. So, Now, I also picked up a picture. This is the next item. This is a dollar item, so 50 cents and $1. Once again, I'm still trying to stay away from buying paper items, but when it's something that's unusual, I like to grab it. And what struck me about this is the fact that he is not in his jumper. He is in a t-shirt, and if we can kind of zoom in here, you can see the t-shirt has U.S. Navy and an anchor on it. Now, I don't know the exact date of this picture. The format of this picture could be anywhere from 1942, 43, up through World War II, and up into the late 1940s and such. So it's a potential that this is actually post-war. But regardless, I like these types of images because what this does is if I'm ever out at an antique mall or a flea market or a estate sale or what have you, and I come across a t-shirt that looks like this, Well, I have photographic evidence of it being worn. It also kind of puts it in the back of my head, so if I ever do see something like this at a shop or a show, it's like, yes, I remember seeing a picture of that being worn. I'm gonna pick that up. And it's also good for all of you. You know, getting this out there on YouTube and having all of you watch it, it puts it in your psyche as well, that if you ever come across something like this, you can be like, yeah, I saw that on YouTube, and let me, go take a look at that again. And sure enough, yep, that's a legit item. It's not something that somebody just made up, like a fantasy piece. So these are the first two items. So 50 cents and $1. Okay, everybody, the next item I'd like to share with you, and the third most expensive item that I picked up, is this beautiful Navy officer's double-breasted jacket. It surprised me to find this because out of both of these massive flea markets, this was the only uniform I saw. I didn't see any Ike jackets, I didn't see any jumpers, I didn't see any modern uniforms. This was the only one, and the only reason I think this was still there was it was hanging way back at the back of a dealer's stall on a clothing rack with Hawaiian shirts and modern Harley-Davidson leather jackets. And I just happened to notice the cuff down here, and that's what drew my eye to it. Now, it's a gorgeous jacket. It's ranked to a lieutenant junior grade. You can tell by this thick band and then narrow band here. The lieutenant junior grade, or Lieutenant JG, is the naval equivalent of a first lieutenant in the Army, just to give you kind of some perspective there. The jacket is a custom-made jacket, and this officer spared no expense. It's just beautiful material. It's in absolutely pristine condition. There's a few spots, but I would expect that on a jacket that's over 80 years old. The jacket, when we go inside here, you can see has a Taylor tag for the Pettibone Company in Cincinnati, Ohio. And then when we come up here in the neck, you can see there's a neck tag for Pettibone. It did come with the wooden hanger that I talked about before, so I'm just going to keep it on that. You can look at the liner. The liner in the sleeves is gorgeous. In the pocket, there is a manufacturer's tag. You can kind of see it there. And what's great about this is we do have the officer's name on the tag. It's legible. And I did some research, and it's an interesting story. So we're actually going to do a separate video on the story behind this jacket and the person who owned it. The tag is also dated February of 1944, so it's a nice kind of mid-war date for this jacket. But I think the biggest draw to this, when I pulled it off the rack, was this right here. This absolutely beautiful set of bullion naval aviator wings. It's probably the nicest set I've ever seen on a Navy uniform. And then we've got the oversized Wolf Brown ribbon bar here with the plastic coated ribbons. We have on the left is the Asiatic Pacific ribbon with 3 stars. One's missing, unfortunately, but I can get that fixed. And then the American campaign on the right. And, these two should be reversed around, but they're on the jacket this way, and I'm not going to monkey with it. That's how it was on the jacket. That's how it's going to stay. So an absolutely beautiful jacket. Unfortunately, when I pulled it off the rack, it wasn't priced. So when I inquired to the vendor about the cost of the jacket, he told me $30, and there was no dickering. It was a no-brainer. I picked the coat up for $30. So be watching, everybody, for a future video to talk about the owner of this particular jacket. So just really happy and surprised to find this. Okay, the fourth and final item, and the most expensive, is this beautiful knife right here. And let's get this out of the scabbard so you can see here. We'll start with the maker. It's a Catagarius 225Q. This is just a great World War II utility / fighting knife. Just an absolutely excellent example. It didn't look like this when I purchased it. It was rather grimy, so I took some time to clean it up. And by cleaning, I basically just simply washed the blade with a little bit of Dawn dish soap, and then I oiled the handle and I oiled the scabbard. But it's just a fantastic knife. The blade has not been over sharpened. There's a few nicks in it, but yeah, it doesn't bother me. I love the grip. I love how worn it is. You can just see the use in there. If you look here, you can see the patternization. That's what you want to see. Everything is legit about this knife. The scabbard itself is in excellent shape. cleaned up real nice. It does have this huge hole in the bottom, but this is not uncommon because when these knives were slid into the scabbard, that's right where the point is. So if the person just happened to have that bottom of that scabbard just bent a little bit when the knife was slid in, it would start a hole that would eventually work to something like you see here. And in fact, when we put the knife back into the scabbard, you'll be able to see right where that point is on the blade. I actually think this adds more to the knife, to be quite honest with you. It's, once again, a utility slash fighting knife. When you look here, you can see there's plenty of room to hang it on a cartridge belt or on a pistol belt. Now, I will point out one thing, and that is once I take ownership of something like this, I will not snap the strap here. And I do that because these straps can dry rot, and when you put a lot of tension and you snap that and then unsnap it, I've seen where it's actually pulled the snap right out of the leather, and I want to prevent that. So in my collection, I just leave them unsnapped. Now, I'm very happy to own this. I think it's a great looking knife, lots of character. I know exactly where I'm going to display it, and I don't have one of these in my collection. Well, I do now, so it's wonderful to be able to have one of these in my collection. Now, as far as price goes, $50, which I thought was an excellent price. Quick side story to that, and kind of a word of caution or a cautionary tale to all of you and to me, was that when we went to the flea market, it was the first flea market we went to, my dad and I usually go to the left, and instead my dad said, let's go to the right this time. So we turned to the right, and literally the first table was where this knife was located. The vendor had a lot of really cool things on his table. I saw this, asked about the price, $50, thought it was fair, told him I wanted to do a little bit of research before I pulled the trigger. So I stepped away to look up the knife just to make sure it's what I thought it was. It was, so I came back and bought it right then and there. And there's that little part of me that said, hey, it's the first table out of these big flea markets. Are you sure you want to spend $50 right away? And it was like, yep. So I bought it. And as I paid the vendor, a guy walked up and was kind of looking over my shoulder, and he goes, how much did you pay for that? And I said, $50. And he was like, oh, shoot. And he turned around and walked away. That's all he said. And I have a feeling in my gut that if I would have waited any longer or decided to just look around a little bit more and come back, the knife would not have been there. So that's the cautionary tale, is when you see something you like, make your move, because, if it's something you really are interested in and you wait too long, it may not be there. But I was lucky, and now I have a beautiful knife to add to the collection. Well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed that recent find video. The jacket itself, I think you're going to be really surprised when I go through the history on that. It's something I'm not going to go into anymore now because it'll give it away. But yeah, everything I found was kind of fun, a little surprising in some cases and such, but it just goes to show, as I always say, if you are someone who is into military collecting and you watch my videos, you've heard me repeat this over and over, and that is, keep looking. Stuff is still out there. Take your time, and good things, amazing things, fantastic deals will come your way. Just keep that in mind. So on that note, everybody, thanks for watching. And, this is Steve reminding all of you to, well, keep them rolling.